All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome to Game and Compute. Super glad you made it back. First timers, glad you're here. Today I have a tidbits topic for this podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about a topic that Dave Ramsey mentioned pretty recently. I think today, no, it's something that he does on multiple episodes. If anyone's listened to his show or watched it on YouTube live or anywhere else that you've seen it live, I want to talk about how he discusses millionaires. And he does have some research, so I do want to look into his actual research. Lucky for you, maybe, that I'm on a time crunch today. So this isn't going to be super lengthy, but I'm trying to see if I can even just quickly Google it. You can check out some of his videos. I can't read the entire titles because some of them are sort of cut off by the thumbnail. It's just a thumbnail view. I don't want to click on it in case it goes into the video while I'm recording. One of them is called from September 21st of 2021. These millionaire stats make people so, I'm thinking it's like so angry. And then, oh yeah, if I turn it into landscape, I can see the whole title. Yeah, so it's so angry. And then from January 29th of 2020, what millionaires don't tell you. Those are both under the topic of Dave Ramsey rants. Dave Ramsey rant. So today I was listening to an episode that I believe it was about 5 months old. Then I started to listen to the one from today. Sometimes I just click on them while I'm doing some paperwork at my job and then listen to them. It's like, why not learn while I'm working? Otherwise I'd probably just play music in the background, but it's like, yeah, might as well learn something. So I liked some interesting details that he was kind of mentioning. Like, so for most people, and I'm not saying this is 100% for every single person, he breaks it down and has people talk about their net worth. So being a millionaire, like your income and your debt subtracted out of that, or whichever. Yeah. So it's not like you're a millionaire, but you have a whole lot of debt that makes you, that cuts into the millionaire, the $1 million. Like, so if you have, basically he's talking to people who don't have a debt that's cutting into the $1 million. So even if they do have debt, they still have $1 million available after the debt. So I liked some of the categories that he was talking about. One of them, a lot of them stuck out for me. He was mentioning, the breakdown of people who have, sorry, I'm tired, brain. The breakdown of people who have $1 million, like he was saying, the age range that he talked to that day was between like 30s and 50s. And that most people took about maybe 14 to 17 years or so to build to $1 million, and sometimes less time, like 9 or 10 years. And most of them didn't become millionaires primarily because of their like if they got some kind of, what do you call it, like when somebody leaves you money, like they didn't inherit this money, or it wasn't like left to them, or it wasn't given to them from some outside person. Most of the people, I mean, he talks about that in the Ramsey research, there is, I don't have the details, but he was saying there is there's a top 5 category of career paths that people take. Engineers being number 1. I believe he was saying attorneys as number 5, and then doctors as number 6, and I believe teachers made it too. I don't know if teachers were number 2, but he was making a point that, most people are taught that lawyers and doctors make the most money, and they're still high up there within the first 5 and 6, but it's not number 1. And then teachers would be second on that list. So I don't have access to knowing yet what numbers 3 and 4 are, but I find that very interesting too. He was mentioning GPAs, people who did get their 4-year degrees, such as a bachelor's program, were average 3.0. And he was talking also about like a lot of myths. So a lot of myths that we get taught, right? We often get taught that, a genius, someone who's a genius is going to be a millionaire, or someone who took out a bunch of loans and, got their wealth and built their business, got their wealth primarily through a form of debt, which is something that he found isn't accurate as well, or that people are in their ages of like 80 or so years old, which isn't accurate as well. That people are in their age of just a lot of common myths that you hear about how people get to being a millionaire. That it's not really overnight necessarily if you're not inheriting any money or like having some kind of a super massive investment, return on an investment, or maybe some sort of gambling of some sort. That's not common to make somebody a millionaire. You just combating a lot of ideas that we hear. And the reason why I found it interesting is because I do follow a lot of finance channels online on YouTube primarily. And something that I do find with finance is that they often talk about they often talk about finance as a they often talk about sorry, I lost my train of thought when the neighbors are like pulling up here. They talk about finance saying that it's primary. Sorry, I totally forgot what I was saying. I apologize. I lost it. I'm sorry, guys. But basically, there is supposedly a lot of myths out there about how people get $1 million. Oh, that's what I was saying. That, when I watch like YouTube, for example, or mostly YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, a lot of times it's more likely that people are going to talk about finance from the point of trending. They're going to talk about, these are based on like algorithms too, and people watching them and what people want to see. And so a lot of times people who create content are very aware of what the topics are that people want to listen to, which is one thing, but then that also makes it so that we don't see these other sides. We don't see the person with the 3.0 GPAs or the engineers or the teachers who are millionaires. We mostly see, I'd say the most accurate seem to be the theme of people having some form of like real estate or their own business of some sort. But lately you see a lot about crypto, a lot about Dogecoin, a lot about Bitcoin, a lot about Ethereum, a lot about, just because the stock market itself is just wild right now. You see a lot about the stock market, Tesla, different, types of companies to invest in, GameStop and whatnot. Now, I'm not saying that people aren't becoming millionaires. They definitely are. If you follow like Pro the Doge or like different people, there are a lot of different people online that are millionaires from crypto or other types of investments like that. So I'm not saying that it's not accurate, but they didn't make it to the top of the research list either. So it seems like what we're being told and taught and informed of and educated about how people become millionaires, the common, what Dave Ramsey calls as myths, the common things we're being taught aren't really what is actually accurately seen, aren't actually what is accurately occurring, aren't actually what is really the actual reality of the majority of American millionaires. So that's something to take into account. I would recommend trying to find his research. I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked it up. I don't know where it's published under, but when I was in school, I used to look through, like, I think it was like Sage Publishing or Elsevier or dang, I'm like blanking on the ones, but if you have access to like a university account with some form of school account with .edu, I've been out of the game for like about 6 years now, so my brain's a bit foggy on that, and I'd have to go back into seeing what it was that I used to use. But they have these databases that you get access to with a student account, where you can look up online articles for free, and his might be for free, but maybe not, I don't know. He also has books and the podcast, and also has like they live stream some of the episodes when they first post, like the one today. I listened to some of it after it posted, but it wasn't the full one. But I just thought it was super interesting, because a lot of times millionaires, a lot of people want to be a millionaire, and it seems like a lot of the millionaires, if they start at about age 25, then into their 30s they can become a millionaire, or if they're starting in their 30s, late 30s, then into the early 50s or so, they can become a millionaire. Not to discourage people or say that they don't or can't, but it's just, according to trends, according to the actual statistics, that's what it looks like. There's also huh what was I thinking? Sorry. You can not only find his research, but you can kind of look into kind of what you've been taught, what you've been told. I know I was taught and told a lot of things like that. And one thing that I thought was super motivating and important to hear was that the people who become millionaires or who are wealthy oftentimes do believe that it's within their power to have that wealth, versus, I believe it was like in the 90 something percent, and versus in about like 67 or so percent of people who aren't wealthy or are not millionaires don't believe that it's within their power to, kind of control their own wealth and finances, that there's other factors. Now, I'm wondering with that if there's some kind of racial components, some kind of ethnic components, cultural and traditional components, some kind of other variables, or did they just like do this across the board for all the millionaires? And also noting, the highest percentage of millionaires, kind of what their demographic actually is, because that could actually contribute to, when I think on like a psychological perspective, and like theories involving like socioeconomic status and other demographics, other demographic details. Those are kind of the questions I would want to kind of have answers to. But yeah, I think that is fascinating, very fascinating to hear about some of those research details. And if you listen to his show, towards the end of the episodes, they have those people calling in to explain how they became a millionaire. And I think the important part is that most people do mention that, it's slow. It's a slow process, slow, steady process, having some form of knowledge. It seems like their funds aren't primarily just on their income only. They have it, in other types of savings and types of like retirement funds, Roth IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, things like that. And in like stocks and, other types of, like index funds, things like that it's kind of spread out, meaning that they're getting income also from multiple sources. It's not like, I don't think he talked to anyone who's just like, I have no savings and I just work and I'm a millionaire. It seems like they spread their money to grow in other places, so that if it's just sitting there for years and years, at least you're getting a return on that, a high return. And he didn't mention this, but I've learned a bit about this, about money sitting in savings accounts and bank accounts. It's not necessarily to say that it's not important to have it there. It's easy to access when it's right there. But, as far as the growth, a bank, the amount that you gain usually isn't going to be as much as some other annual gains you can get when you're putting your money in other places, especially when you consider long term. Like banks give super small percentages. I know some banks, they are like 0.001 or 0.01% or something like that. It's like, even if you're a millionaire, you're not really making that much profit off of that every year, and most of us aren't really millionaires, so you can imagine, like, it looks good maybe that you're making something, but it's like, if you're not really making a significant dent in anything, it's kind of good to kind of look at where your money's going, like not only as far as expenses and going out, but how it's coming in, as well as how it's growing, where it's sitting, and the risk involved if you are taking risks, if you are having loans and credit cards and debt and stuff like that, kind of looking at the big scale picture of what it actually is going to become. So with that, I just want to thank everybody for listening, and thanks for tuning in. This is Tidbits about millionaires. Hopefully it was interesting, and have a good day. Thanks for listening. Bye.